writer Kate Michaels has a new project and an enigmatic new collaborator.
There's been murders in my neighborhood.
Sometimes there's a thin line between fact and fiction.
Who is it? FBI.
Please help. Ma'am, can you give me your address?
Kate Mara and Adam Scott in Ghostwriter, a new one-episode feature-length podcast movie experience from C13 Features.
Ghostwriter is available now on the Odyssey app and wherever you find your podcasts.
So, you have a new smart speaker or connected device.
No matter what device you have, Odyssey has something you'll love.
Blast your favorite music on home entertainment devices like Roku, Chromecast, Sonos, and more.
Just look for the Odyssey app.
Want to access more stations through your car?
Try out Odyssey with Waze or Apple CarPlay. Plus, listen to your favorite stations on your phone with the Odyssey app.
Listen to Odyssey anytime on all your smart speakers and connected devices.
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
All right, you hear that song, you know what time it is. Nobody loves Milli Vanilli more than our Pete Haley, NBC Sports Washington and the Washington Football Talk podcast. Pedro, how excited do you get when you hear the dulcet tones of Milli and Vanilli?
Just for those who are listening and may not know, because I, of course, know this, is Milli Vanilli the name of the song or of the group?
The group. The song is Girl, You Know It's True.
Yeah, I know it's true, and I know that to be true because I've listened to it hundreds of times. But I know it's a group that a lot of your listeners maybe aren't familiar with, so I'm glad that they now have that background.
Listen, there's a game this weekend, but it really doesn't count for anything. The news of the day is that the Washington football team is going to roll out a new name in less than a month. What did you make of kind of the rollout so far?
I think that the previous videos have gotten to be a little too much, but I thought this one was well done. It kind of encompassed the whole process, and maybe if they were able to do that in one 7-minute video, they didn't need the 4 or 5 other making the brands that they had in between to sort of stave everybody off. But I'll focus on the positive. I thought it was cool to have Gibbs in there and Doug Williams and Martin Mayhew and all the little snippets of the jerseys and the potential helmets and all those sneak peeks. I thought it was a great job, and I'm glad that we are T-minus 30 or so days, 28 days, whatever the number is, to finally getting this thing over with. And now we can start actually looking forward to it instead of just endlessly speculating, even though I know you've probably done 2.5 hours of radio regarding endless speculation.
Yeah, well, one thing that I find super silly is that people are zooming in on the video, and there's like a reflection in the window behind Ron's head, and they're like, oh, my God, it's a W. Like, yeah, dude, of course it's a W. They play for Washington.
Yeah, like, zoom in on this blurry helmet. It looks like it might have some burgundy and then a little bit of gold. Like, yeah, we've known that for about a year. That's not a surprise. So I know it tests our patience at times, but it makes for great segments on radio and podcasts and endless stories. Like I wrote a little story today for our website, 4 details you might have missed from the name announcement video. So it does give us something to focus on, which is nice, so we don't have to pretend to focus on this meaningless game here that will be the last game in Washington football team history. And, there are people going overboard. Hopefully, once today ends and this video becomes sort of old news, we'll stop getting the zoomed-in reflections and slowing down of
I don't think
reading and stuff, but probably not.
You think that stops until the new name?
Well, look, after today and maybe tomorrow, people are going to have zoomed in and screenshotted the frames ad nauseum. Like, there's not going to be anything new for them to do unless some guy gets a shipment of some gear, and then that'll be the news story. But I think today's going to be every single theory known to man, every single reference and inference that you can have, and then hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday, people will have exhausted themselves. I do think so.
I think they'll pay attention to the game, and then next week will be playoffs to watch. So I think this is really going to drive kind of everything for a while, and I think that's what they want, because otherwise we're talking about a railing falling over and no quarterback and everything else. You have a story up on NBC Sports Washington of details you noticed in the video. What the hell did you notice?
Well, some of them, might be a little far-fetched. Like the first one I noticed is when Ron got the little slip that presumably tells him what the new name is going to be from Jason Wright. Jason says, "Do you like it?" And Ron goes, "Yes." right off the bat, I like it. And I understand that this video has been carefully vetted millions of times, so they're not going to have a scene where Ron looks at it and goes, yeah, it's fine. Like, of course they're going to include Ron saying that, but I think Ron saying yes right off the bat, like that immediate visceral reaction, makes me think a military name like commanders or admirals. And I think when you look at the jerseys, it's a Terry McLaurin jersey, which is what I pointed out. It's a number 17. I think that's cool. That's Terry. But I had this thought when I heard your caller bring up the Warthog stuff. That jersey has like really clean, sharp lines to it. Like if you go Warthogs, I'm thinking your numbers are going to be bigger and then have these shapes to them and maybe look a little more fierce. Like this number that they showed, it's a very simple 17. That also makes me think commanders, like a clean military officer's uniform, not something wild and something you find in the fields of wherever the hell Warthogs roam. So that's something I picked up on. And then, of course, the helmet, like Jason Wright says, this is one of the helmets when he passes it over to Rivera and Martin Mayhew. And the NFL just passed their new rule that you can wear multiple helmets in 2022. So Washington will hopefully have two helmets, and right after that scene, there's one that looks either super dark burgundy or black. So there's all these little hints, and I know you're picking up on word choice of anchor and lead and all that
I'm
stuff.
kind of just messing around with a lot of this stuff,
honestly. Well, I'm taking it kind of serious.
How's your mental health? I'm listening with Billie Eilish.
I feel like I spent a lot of time thinking about happiness and how it's just like it fluctuates, and everyone thinks if you're one thing, you're going to be that forever and you're never going to be anything else. And it's really not true. Like happiness is temporary, but also so is like misery, and things just like morph and change. It just doesn't stay. It goes up and goes down and things change. And like, that's how life works.
Explore more at imlistening.org.
In 1987, a former prosecutor named Margaret Kuhn took her dog for a walk in one of Louisiana's safest and most affluent parishes. The next morning, she was found dead on the side of the road. 34 years later, the crime remains unsolved.
No one is safe.
Binge the entire season of Gone South, Who Killed Margaret Kuhn? The hit documentary podcast from C13 Originals, available for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You want to know what wagertainment is? It's the picks, the analysis, the information, mixed with the laughter and the entertainment. Smart sports betting content that'll put a smile on your face.
The BetQL Network, streaming live each day and helping you bet smarter.
If you're a sports fan, you know why you should listen. It's sports betting content without the BS. No hot takes, no nonsense.
All the insight you need to bet smarter is at BetQL.com. And listen to the BetQL Network, streaming live right now on Odyssey.
Seriously, and I wrote a story about it, so I could have something to point to on the timeline today. But yeah, it's fun and playing at the same time. But again, finally, there's an end date to point to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite excited. I wonder if Beamish pointed this out this morning that it's all happening on Groundhog Day. What about Red Hogs? I've seen that kind of floating around. I don't believe. I mean, Jason told me, I think he told us actually on the podcast, but that, you know, we're not going to be beholden to a hashtag and that we are happy. I don't see them sticking to red. Do you? I
don't necessarily, see it one way or another. Hog certainly makes sense. It's got the uniting the DMV and sticking to our history, which seems to maybe be the biggest driving force or phrasing that the team deciding this is using. But again, I go back to the way the uniform looked, and I know the stars on there, the DC flag, you can pay homage to DC and have some crazy-looking Red Hog logo here or there, but with the way the numbers were and the simplicity of the uniform, the clean white pants and the little shoulder pad thing that is just a couple of lines, like there's no real uniqueness or edge to it. And I think Red Hogs, you would have some crazy stuff on there and make it look a little more distinct. So the fact that it looks more on the plain uniform side makes me think admirals, commanders, something that is a little simpler to convey and not necessarily, wow, that jersey has warthog, red hog flames and fur and whatever the hell these animals supposedly have.
Who was the fat one in Lion King between Timon and Pumbaa? Which one was which?
That's going to have to be maybe a Cody Betts. I've
Cody,
certainly
you got
watched
anything
Lion
on that?
King, but I forget.
Who was the fat animal in Lion King? Timon or Pumbaa? Pumbaa. He was a warthog, correct?
Yeah, with like his like underbite and his tusks and his big pot belly. Yeah. Maybe.
Is he the most famous hog on the planet?
Besides, like, I don't know, Joe Jacoby, if you're talking legit, the animal hog, yeah. I mean, the Razorback hog for Arkansas strikes me as a pretty famous one.
Yeah, but that's not... So, Joe Jacoby is an answer. Grimm's in the Hall of Fame, I believe. That's an answer. I think... listen, I know Joe and like him a lot. I kind of think Pumbaa's more famous.
Well, yeah. Yeah, if you go to some random mall across the country and show a picture of Joe Jacoby and then Pumbaa, more people are going to know, hey, that's the Lion King guy versus that's the Washington tackle who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. So, that's about all I got on hogs.
Yeah,
so here's the problem with going. Here's the problem with going to hogs is that it was about a position group at a certain period of time. So yes, it has history, but it has specific history that I don't know really kind of conveys. But at least everything else, they're like, oh, we want to honor our history. Becoming the Commanders does not honor your history. Change that bullet point on your sales pitch.
Yeah, like the Hogs, I understand it's very near and dear to a big chunk of the fan base, but the younger fan base will be hopefully sticking with this franchise for a while and buying the gear and purchasing tickets for the first time, don't care or don't understand or have no relation to the Hogs. And also, if you become the Hogs of some sort, what if your offensive line sucks and the PFF has them as the 30th ranked O-line? Then you're insulting the Hogs from previous eras. So, I think now that people have lost Red Wolves, maybe they're going to drift over to Hogs as sort of that animal name, that different name, as opposed to something that's more cookie cutter or more maybe generic, like a military thing. But, one thing, JP, I think that you brought up, and I appreciate you having to ask these questions to me when you're taking calls on them for hours. I'm sure it's not that easy or exciting for you. But, Hogs, at least you get that shorthand name. And I do agree with you. That's an important part of all this. What hashtag do you use? How do you refer to them on message boards or in your group text? Maybe Jason Wright doesn't care too much about that, but it's tough
People
to say
do.
Commanders and type Commanders. It's annoying, and it's let's go Commanders. It just doesn't fit that well. So hopefully whatever they come up with has that shorthand secondary use, but I don't know if ads or comms really gets it done in that regard.
Jugs.
Yeah, definitely Jugs.
Jugs get it done, Pete.
They always do in every context. They tend to get it done.
The Juggernauts. What's the biggest story for this football team between now and the new league year, mid-March?
Maybe the push to get McLaurin signed. I mean, quarterback's obviously the easy answer, but not much can really happen. You're still locked into your current team and no contract.
Traded for Alex Super Bowl week.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, the search for quarterback. What guys become available? Does Russell start trying to shake free? Does Derek Carr flame out in Vegas, et cetera? Let's get the paperwork drawn up for McLaurin. Does he or his camp put out anything about having an interest in staying here or not staying here? And I guess some early Instagram videos of Chase Young maybe riding a bike or jumping on a box in the gym and showing his early returns from surgery. I think those are three things. Those are your quarterback, your franchise piece on defense, and everybody's favorite player. I think that's a pretty good list to start off with.
I know you've been building your sources over in Ashburn. Can you confirm that the new name will be the Belters?
No, I can't. I cannot confirm that. I know that's
Can you deny it? Can you deny it?
No, I certainly can't deny it.
All right.
And
that's all. I rest my case. I rest my case.
I wish I could.
Thank you. Pete Haley, NBC Sports Washington Football Talk Podcast. Give him a follow at Pete Haley NBCS. Talk to you later, pal.
All right. See you later.
All right. That is Pete Haley. When we return, we're taking your calls. 800-636-1067. 800-636-1067. There is one thing landfill is most mad about. If you guess it, you get a free hug.
I make it look easy. For For our best deals of the season, check out the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. With winter-only savings on all Hyundai vehicles and new cars arriving daily, it's the perfect time to get a Hyundai. It's your journey. Own it at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR for up to 48 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days on select Hyundai vehicles. Visit buyhyundai.com today. For well-qualified buyers only. Offer ends 1/3/22. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.